One of the things I love about my little passion project of connecting the dots is that I get to have conversations with people that I wouldn't normally get to catch up with. And who I connect with this week is exactly that. I don't get to catch up with him and have conversations with him. I came to know him maybe 2 decades ago. I was a customer of a business he was involved in. And then we sort of connected a little bit with running, but I've never actually sat down and have a conversation with him until now. So let's go connect with an international man of internet.
This is Geoff. Now, Geoff, I've known you a long time, but it's actually through running, which we'll talk about a little later, is how we sort of reconnected. But I was a customer of yours, I
Yep.
think, probably 20 years ago. Is that?
Yeah, yep. 2008, 9, 10
Yeah,
maybe.
wow.
Yep.
So you were in IT then?
Yes.
What type of business was that?
It's an internet service provider. So family business that my parents set up when I was 11. And then when I sort of was going through uni, I started working part-time for my parents' business partner. And that's where we were servicing you guys. I think we had sort of some web hosting, some email accounts for you and a website and some phone lines and an internet connection, something like that.
Yeah, back when
Yep.
you had ADSL and all that
Yep.
type of fun stuff.
Yep.
You still, when I reached out to you several weeks ago, I
Yeah.
thought I was going to be chatting to you about you're now a man that lives overseas, you're semi-retired or retired.
Yep.
But you wrecked that for me.
Yeah.
So you're back in the country. Why are you back in the country?
Yeah, so I sold my business in 2020 and I went through the earn-out period and a handover and warranties and all of that. And I decided that I was really, really burnt out at the end of that earn-out period. And my running times are a testament to that. I got injured all of the time. I was super stressed and I just fell apart. And I needed some time to decompress. My parents were living overseas at the time. I got a little bit of investment there in some stuff with the family, and we thought, why not? My wife wasn't working at the time. Why not just take the time to go and spend some time in Bulgaria, living with my parents or near my parents in the mountains. We can ski in the winter, we can hike in the summer, and just enjoy life and decompress for a little bit. And while we figure out what's next.
I was almost about to ask why Bulgaria, but you
Yep.
almost answered it with the skiing in the winter.
Yeah. So my parents were driving through there, looking at some property investment opportunities in 2007 and essentially just never left. They went and had a look at the 3 different major ski resorts that were in Bulgaria at the time. They had to see which ones would be good to invest near as just somebody as a foreigner wanting to invest in Bulgaria. It was about to enter the EU in 2008. So that's why the timing was right in 2007. And yeah, so they found the southernmost ski resort in Bulgaria, in Europe, in fact, at the time it was, and it's just north of the Greek border, and fell in love with the people, fell in love with the food, the climate. In winter, obviously, is cold, and in summer you get this beautiful mountain breezes. It's top of sort of 25 to 28. And still cool overnight. So yeah, just a really, really nice place. They do speak Bulgarian. They speak a different language. They use the Cyrillic alphabet. So you have to learn a completely new alphabet. But yeah, it's just a place where prosperity is growing, and they just fell in love with the place and have been there on and off basically since 2007. And they went there on holidays in 2020. And they drove from the UK, and essentially COVID hit, and they were told, if you try to drive back to the UK now, borders could close in front of you and behind you, and then you're stuck in Hungary or somewhere that you've got no connection whatsoever. So they ended up they just said, fine, we'll stay. And they just waited out COVID, and then all of the insanity has happened in the UK over the last couple of years. We sort of see on the news what's going on, and they were watching the same things and just said, well, why would we go back? Let's just stay here.
Yeah. So you're back?
Yes. Yes.
Walk us through that.
So I'm back now because I have an opportunity to buy my old business back.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So
loved it that much?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm currently going through that process at the moment. And while we have loose agreement, I haven't signed any contracts yet, but I'm here to push that process forward.
Okay.
The opportunities come up, and it's a good opportunity for me. I have decompressed. I've taken the time to sort of unwind a little bit, and I've grown up a bit and matured a bit, and it's time to go again. It's the right thing for me. So
awesome.
I'm trying to make that happen.
And what's the business do?
So we are an internet service provider still, but a telecommunications carrier. So we actually build, own and operate our own telecommunications network where there isn't any. So we're not reselling the NBN, although we can. But the predominant business is remote and regional telecommunications, high-speed internet, usually via wireless technology, as well as then Wi-Fi and private LTE, private 5G, that sort of thing on top of it, as well as managed networking. So we can go to the likes of farms or mines or remote communities. And we can do everything where there's that, they might have a satellite connection to start with. We'll put in a high-speed internet connection and then Wi-Fi to get it around so that everybody can connect onto it, the switches, the routers, and all of the things that all make it work.
So you're putting internet in places where nobody else wants to or can.
You're correct, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. We reconnected along the way. We obviously knew each other from, me being a customer of yours a long time ago. And then we sort of reconnected a little bit with our running journeys. I think we both knew and felt the comfort of an office chair well.
Yeah.
And I took up running and you took up running around the same time.
Yeah.
And then when I was celebrating 2,000 days on national TV, you sent a video in that they played on national TV. And I can't even, to this day, I don't know if I ever knew where you were. Where were you there?
So I was in Turks and Caicos. So that was my 10-year wedding anniversary.
Right.
And my wife and I we'd been on a cruise for a week before that in the Caribbean. And then we took a week in Turks and Caicos just to relax on a beach in an all-inclusive resort. And I just got the call up to say, could you record this little video for Adam? This is what's happening. And I said, I'd love to. Yeah, absolutely delighted to.
Inspiring hundreds of people along the way.
When I started on my fitness journey, I went in knowing that there were no excuses. Adam's already shown me that there's a way to fit it in every day.
And countless pairs of running shoes later, the Brisbane dad weighs an admirable 75 kilos.
Well, I've got 19 kilometres today.
We both were not runners at all. And your running went on, it is going on to be quite amazing. You are now a coach for one of the biggest clubs in Brisbane.
Yep.
And your running yourself is just, you left me for dead. What's your best 5K time?
18:07.
Best half marathon?
1:26:30-ish.
And tomorrow you're going out to do the Sunshine Coast full. And what are you hoping for?
I am going to go out with the 3:15 pacer.
All right, okay.
And we'll see how that goes.
And what's your best so far?
3:25,
okay.
3:24:58. So I went out with a 3:25 pacer in Rome this year with a suboptimal taper period. I had an injury in the taper. And I skied all the way through up to race day. So my quads were destroyed from about 15 kilometers in. And I still managed a 3:24. So I think that with an extra 6 months of training and with sort of a much more gentle taper period, I think I'm in the ballpark to run about 3:15 tomorrow.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
That'll be
so we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned, I think I saw you post a couple of years ago a car that you'd bought yourself. And it looks like there's something out of boys' dreams. Tell me about this car you've got.
So it is a 2019 GT3 RS. So it is a Porsche 911, and it has just got the huge big wing. It's got.
It looks like it's come straight off a racetrack.
It is absolutely. It is a racetrack for the road.
Yep.
It does have a radio and air conditioning, but it doesn't have door handles. It's got little ropes on the inside that you pull, and bucket seats with the whole lot. So it is absolutely a race car for the road, and it was the dream when they released that car. They re-released one in 2015 in that shape. And it was sort of the poster on the wall. But I became a Porsche guy because of a friend of mine. We went on a road trip through Europe, and we actually just went and rented one from Avis one day. And before that, if you'd asked me, I probably would have thought, a BMW or something. But he said, let's get a 911. And they're just incredible cars. They're just so competent and easy to drive and just ferociously fast. So it was the dream. So when I sold my business, that was my present. I went and got one.
And then you promptly went overseas, put it in storage. And so have you got it out of storage yet?
Yes, yep, okay. Absolutely. So I've been driving it around for a couple of weeks. I put it back in this week, but absolutely. Get it out as often as I can and 1 or 2 track days a year where I can properly open it up. That's absolutely the stuff of dreams.
I remember at a park run, I think just before you went you mentioned then you were going to put it in storage, and I said surely somebody would offer to look after it for you, and you said everyone has offered to look after it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have lots of very good friends, and all of them offered to look after it for me, take great care of it, wash it for me as often as I'd like, and take photos and send it to me. They all offered. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you didn't just, and I don't know whether I joke or but semi-retirement overseas, you actually didn't. I saw even on your LinkedIn profile, you were involved in the Bulgarian.
Bulgarian Australian Business Council.
Yep. So you're somebody that doesn't like to sit around and do
No,
nothing with the brain,
No.
or now
No.
the legs.
Yeah.
So what's next for Geoff?
So I am still involved with the Bulgarian Australian Business Council. So I'm a director of that organisation, and that is obviously working with Australians who are in Europe, trying to set up businesses there, and Australian companies selling into the European market, but also Europeans trying to sell into the Australian market. So connecting people both ways. And it's part of a wider group, the Australian Business in Europe group. So I've just been to Madrid for a conference there. There's another one in France in a couple of months, which I'll be at. So yeah, that's just, it's a business community organisation, and at this stage all volunteer, but funded by the membership in Bulgaria. So that's sort of a hobby, but something where I'm giving to and helping the Bulgarian business community. And I've also been helping my dad with his business. So he's got a couple of different ventures that are there, mostly around tourism. So we've got a villa that's on the ski resort. So I helped them just get the marketing right for that, get it on Airbnb. And we went from I think we'd had one guest who was a friend of a friend in the 9 months before I got involved. And since then it's had, very, very good occupancy with lots of revenue for mum and dad, which is great.
And you mentioned Dad's almost 70?
He is, yeah.
And still snowboarding.
He is absolutely. So I think he did 55 or 56 days on the mountain last year snowboarding. And I think his top speed was something like 81 kilometers per hour or something like that on a snowboard. And he turned 70 in September. So yeah, he'll get his pensioner's season pass again this year, and he'll be out Monday to Friday. We ski from first lift until probably 10:30, 11 in the morning. And then once the slopes get busy, we just go home for lunch.
So back to business Geoff back here and runner Geoff. What's in the future here?
So if this business deal comes across, and we're pretty confident that we're going to make it happen, that will mean that I become the CEO in the next probably couple of weeks, and just I've got a lot of work to sort of get myself refamiliarized with that, speak to our suppliers, speak to our customers, just do a lot of work and get myself re-involved there. And I'd still like to balance my time being in Europe and Australia. So there'll be a bit of travel going on there. So setting up some processes that support that. And, running and my, my relationship with my wife are something that sort of supersedes both of that. So, first and foremost, I do things to make sure that my relationship is good, and that things are good at home. And that involves also keeping my health. So, I don't do as much of the strength work as I definitely should, but, I get out of the door 5 or 6 times a week for a run, and I keep myself to a plan all of the time, keep myself connected to the running community. So I've accidentally got to a situation where tomorrow's marathon will be the 4th marathon in 12 months. And that sort of twigged for me that's probably a bit overboard. So I'm going to go, I'm not signing up for another marathon in the next little while. As you were saying before, the half marathon is your favorite distance. Me too.
Yep.
I'd like to have another crack at getting close to my half marathon PB in the next year. So I think I'll focus on some shorter events.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. That'll be good for me because I'll jump back on your shirt again.
Yeah.
My 10K and 15K PBs were following you at Brisbane Roadrunners along the West End front there. So I need you to come back and do some of my distances so I can hang on a bit.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much for chatting to me today, Geoff.
So
you're saying your Porsche would beat my Mustang?
Yes.
That marathon we talked about, it's just finished just not long ago. And so I'm on the web, I'm Strava, checking him out on Strava. He ran 3 hours 11 and 36 seconds. But 3 hours 11, how awesome's that? Pace of 4:31, just awesome. Well done, Geoff. That is just, I'm super jealous. But awesome for you. Jealous. Awesome.